Welcome to Whispered Tales by Joe, where history meets tranquility. Tonight, we embark on a journey into one of America's oldest and most mysterious stories, the disappearance of the Roanoke Colony. As you listen, let the soft whispers of the past guide you into a state of deep relaxation, allowing the mystery to unfold gently in your mind. This is a tale of courage, survival, and the unknown, perfect for easing into a restful night's sleep. So, find a comfortable place, close your eyes, and let's begin our exploration of the lost colony of Roanoke. In the twilight of the 16th century, Europe was gripped by a sense of boundless curiosity and ambition. The age of exploration was in full swing, a time when brave souls set sail across uncharted waters in search of new lands, wealth, and glory. Among these nations, England emerged as a late but eager participant in the race to claim territories in the New World. The dreams of establishing colonies across the Atlantic were fueled by both the promise of untold riches and the desire to challenge Spain's dominance. Imagine, if you will, the excitement and anxiety that filled the hearts of those who embarked on these perilous journeys. The sea was vast and unforgiving, yet the hope of discovery propelled them forward. Sir Walter Raleigh, a prominent figure in Elizabethan England, played a key role in this grand endeavor. A favorite of Queen Elizabeth I, Raleigh was granted a charter to establish a colony in the New World. His vision was to create a prosperous English settlement that would serve as a foothold for further expansion and trade. As you listen, let your mind drift to the sight of those tall ships, their sails billowing in the wind, carrying dreams across the ocean. The promise of a new world was tantalizing, yet fraught with unknown dangers. And so, the stage was set for what would become one of the greatest mysteries in American history. Before the story of Roanoke unfolds, it's important to understand that this wasn't England's first attempt to establish a colony in the New World. The allure of new lands had drawn explorers before, but the challenges were immense. Earlier ventures, like the ill-fated colony in Newfoundland, ended in failure, with harsh climates and scarce resources proving too much for the settlers. But Roanoke was different. Nestled along the coast of what is now North Carolina, Roanoke Island was seen as a promising location, a place where England could plant its flag and begin a new chapter of exploration and colonization. The island's strategic position made it ideal for launching further expeditions, and its lush landscapes promised fertile grounds for settlement. The initial scouting missions brought back reports of a land rich in potential. The Native American tribes encountered there were a mix of welcoming and wary, their lives untouched by the turmoil that European settlers would soon bring. It was in this context that the decision was made to establish a permanent settlement on Roanoke Island, a decision that would echo through history. As we journey deeper into this tale, allow yourself to be transported to the dense forests and pristine shores of Roanoke. Imagine the anticipation of the first settlers, their hopes mingled with trepidation as they prepared to carve out a new life in a distant and unfamiliar land. The vision for Roanoke was grand, born out of ambition and a desire for England to secure its place among the colonial powers. Investors in England, along with the Crown, had high hopes for this new colony. They imagined a thriving settlement that would not only be a base for further exploration, but also a source of wealth and resources that would rival those of Spain. John White, an artist and mapmaker, was one of the key figures entrusted with bringing this vision to life. White had a deep interest in the New World, having participated in earlier expeditions. His role was not only to lead the settlers, but also to document the journey and the landscapes they would encounter. His drawings and maps would serve as vital records of this new land, capturing the imagination of those back home in England. The settlers who joined White on this expedition were diverse. Men, women, and children, all driven by the hope of a better life. As we close this first chapter, let the weight of their expectations settle over you like a soft blanket. The journey was long, the stakes high, but the promise of a new beginning was worth every risk. As you drift deeper into this story, feel the gentle pull of history guiding you towards the mystery that lies ahead. The mystery of what would become of these brave souls on Roanoke Island. The dream of establishing a lasting English presence in the New World began to take shape in 1585 with the first expedition to Roanoke Island. Led by Sir Ralph Lane, this group of about 100 men was tasked with setting up a military outpost on the island. The voyage was challenging, but the promise of a new beginning kept their spirits high. As they arrived at Roanoke, they were greeted by the untouched beauty of the land, a stark contrast to the crowded and often harsh life they had left behind in England. However, the initial optimism quickly faded as the settlers faced the brutal realities of their new environment. Food was scarce, and the settlers struggled to cultivate the unfamiliar soil. The local Native American tribes, while initially welcoming, grew wary of the newcomers as tensions over resources escalated. These challenges were compounded by the isolation of the settlement, far removed from any support or supplies from England. The harsh conditions and strained relations with the indigenous people took a toll on the morale of the men. The situation grew increasingly desperate, culminating in a series of violent encounters with the local tribes. Realizing that the colony could not sustain itself, Lane and his men made the difficult decision to abandon Roanoke and return to England in 1586, leaving behind a legacy of failure that would haunt future attempts. As you listen, imagine the weary settlers, their hopes dashed by the relentless challenges of the New World. The first attempt at Roanoke ended in retreat, but the dream of an English colony in America was far from over. The stage was now set for a second, more ambitious endeavor, one that would carry with it the seeds of an enduring mystery. Undeterred by the failure of the first attempt, Sir Walter Raleigh organized a second expedition to Roanoke in 1587, this time with a different approach. Rather than a military outpost, the new settlement was to be a civilian colony, consisting of men, women, and children. The goal was to establish a permanent English presence in the New World, one that would lay the foundation for future generations. John White, an experienced explorer and artist, was chosen to lead this new group of settlers. Among the 115 colonists were White's daughter, Eleanor Dare, and her husband, Ananias Dare, who were expecting their first child. This journey was marked by hope and determination, as the settlers envisioned a thriving community where they could build a better life. Upon their arrival at Roanoke Island, the settlers were met with the remnants of the first failed colony. The sight of the abandoned fort and overgrown fields served as a stark reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. Undeterred, they began the arduous task of rebuilding and securing the colony. Houses were constructed, crops were planted, and efforts were made to establish friendly relations with the local tribes, although these efforts were met with mixed success. In August of that year, Eleanor Dare gave birth to a baby girl, Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. Her birth was a symbol of hope for the colony, a sign that despite the difficulties, life could flourish in this new land. The settlers believed that they were on the cusp of something great, unaware of the ominous events that would soon unfold. As the night deepens and you listen to this tale, picture the settlers in their makeshift homes, holding on to the promise of a brighter future. They were building not just a colony, but a legacy, one that would be remembered for centuries to come. Despite the settlers' best efforts, the early days of the Roanoke Colony were fraught with difficulties. The crops they planted struggled to grow in the sandy soil, and food supplies quickly dwindled. Relations with the local Native American tribes were strained, with misunderstandings and mistrust leading to a breakdown in communication. The settlers found themselves increasingly isolated, surrounded by a vast wilderness that seemed both beautiful and unforgiving. As the situation grew more dire, the colonists faced a difficult decision. With supplies running low and winter approaching, it became clear that they would not survive without reinforcements and additional provisions from England. The settlers urged John White to return to England to seek aid, a task he reluctantly accepted. White knew the dangers of leaving the colony behind, but he also understood that without help, the settlers had little hope of survival. In August 1587, just days after his granddaughter Virginia Dare was born, White set sail for England, leaving behind the colony and its inhabitants. The journey back was fraught with difficulties, but White's determination to save his fellow colonists kept him focused. He planned to return with supplies as quickly as possible, hoping to find the colony thriving upon his return. As you listen to this story, let the tension of those uncertain years linger in your mind. The settlers, left alone on Roanoke Island, faced an uncertain future, their fate hanging in the balance. The next chapter in their story would not be one of triumph, but of disappearance, a mystery that has endured through the ages. John White's journey back to England was filled with an urgency that few could imagine. Leaving his daughter, son-in-law, and newborn granddaughter behind in the fledgling Roanoke Colony weighed heavily on him. His mission was clear: to secure supplies and reinforcements to ensure the survival of the colony. However, upon his arrival in England, White was met with unexpected obstacles that would thwart his efforts for years to come. In 1588, the Anglo-Spanish War reached its peak as the Spanish Armada, a formidable fleet of ships, threatened England's shores. The entire nation was consumed by the war effort, and Queen Elizabeth I ordered that no ships were to leave England unless they were part of the defense. White, desperate to return to Roanoke, found himself trapped by circumstances beyond his control. His pleas to the crown for an exemption went unheard, as the war overshadowed all other concerns. The delay was agonizing. White knew that every day he spent in England was another day that the colonists, including his own family, were left to fend for themselves in a harsh and unforgiving land. He could only imagine what they were enduring: starvation, hostile encounters with local tribes, or the relentless advance of disease. His nights were restless, filled with worry for those he had left behind. Finally, in 1590, after 3 long years, White was able to secure passage back to Roanoke. As his ship cut through the waves, his thoughts were consumed by what he would find upon his return. Would the colony still be standing? Would his family be there to greet him? The tension of those years of waiting culminated in a sense of foreboding as he neared the shores of Roanoke Island. As you listen to this tale, let the anxiety of those years seep into your mind, a slow undercurrent of unease. The distance between White and his family grew wider with each passing day, and the mystery that awaited him on Roanoke Island would prove to be more unsettling than he could have ever imagined. When John White's ship finally arrived at Roanoke Island in August 1590, the air was thick with anticipation and dread. As the crew disembarked, they were greeted not by the sight of a thriving colony, but by an eerie silence. The once bustling settlement was now a ghost town, with no sign of life anywhere. The houses stood abandoned, overgrown with vines, and the fort that had been painstakingly built by the settlers was in ruins. White's heart pounded as he frantically searched for any sign of his family. The only clue to the fate of the colony was a single word carved into a post: Croatoan. This cryptic message hinted that the settlers might have relocated to Croatoan Island, home to the friendly Croatoan tribe. However, there were no other signs of struggle or distress. No crosses carved into trees, which had been the agreed-upon signal if the colonists were in danger. The discovery of the word Croatoan sparked a glimmer of hope in White. He believed that his family and the other settlers might still be alive, having sought refuge with the Croatoan tribe. But as the crew prepared to set sail for Croatoan Island, a violent storm forced them to abandon their search. Their ship was damaged, supplies were low, and a crew, already weary from their long journey, refused to continue. With no other options, White was forced to return to England, his heart heavy with the unresolved mystery. The image of the deserted colony and the single word carved into the post haunted him for the rest of his days. He would never see his family again, nor would he ever learn the true fate of the Roanoke settlers. As you drift deeper into this story, imagine the desolate landscape of Roanoke Island, the empty homes, and the silent echoes of the past. The colonists had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that has puzzled historians and captivated imaginations for centuries. The news of the deserted Roanoke colony spread quickly upon John White's return to England, and it wasn't long before theories about the fate of the settlers began to emerge. The first and most immediate theory was that the colonists had indeed relocated to Croatoan Island, as suggested by the carved word. This theory was supported by the friendly relations the settlers had with the Croatoan tribe, and some believed that the colonists had assimilated into the tribe, adopting their ways of life. However, not everyone was convinced by this explanation. Some speculated that the colonists had attempted to sail back to England on their own, only to be lost at sea. Others believed that they had moved inland, deeper into the territory of hostile tribes, where they may have been captured or killed. The lack of any physical evidence to support these theories only deepened the mystery. Among the more sinister theories was the idea that the Spanish, who were known to be active along the southeastern coast of North America, had discovered the colony and destroyed it in retaliation for English attacks on Spanish settlements. Although this theory lacked concrete evidence, the fear of Spanish aggression was very real in the minds of the English, who had recently been at war with Spain. As the years passed, the mystery of the Roanoke colony became a subject of fascination and speculation. The lack of definitive answers led to the development of numerous legends and myths. Some stories told of ghostly apparitions of the settlers seen wandering the island, forever searching for their lost home. Others claimed that the word Croatoan held a mystical significance, a curse that doomed the colony to vanish without a trace. Despite the many theories, no concrete evidence has ever been found to explain the disappearance of the Roanoke settlers. The colony's fate remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history, a puzzle that continues to intrigue historians, archaeologists, and curious minds to this day. As you reflect on these early theories, allow your mind to wander through the possibilities. Imagine the different fates that might have befallen the settlers, and let the mystery lull you into a state of deep relaxation. The unanswered questions, the eerie silence of the abandoned colony, and the enduring enigma of Roanoke are all part of what makes this story so captivating and so perfect for drifting off into a peaceful sleep. As the years passed and the mystery of the Roanoke colony persisted, one theory began to stand out as particularly compelling. The idea that the colonists had integrated with the local Native American tribes, most notably the Croatoan. This theory was rooted in the carved word Croatoan left behind on the post, which suggested that the settlers might have sought refuge with this nearby and relatively friendly tribe. The Croatoan tribe, who lived on what is now Hatteras Island, had established a relationship with the English settlers during their earlier expeditions. The tribe had provided assistance and hospitality, which led many to believe that if the colonists were in dire straits, they might have turned to the Croatoan for help. The island was not far from Roanoke, and it was a logical place for the settlers to flee if they were facing starvation, threats from hostile tribes, or other dangers. Over time, various reports and anecdotes emerged that seemed to lend credence to this theory. In the years following the disappearance of the Roanoke settlers, explorers and traders reported encountering Native American communities with distinctly European features, blue eyes, fair hair, and an understanding of English. These accounts, while often anecdotal, suggested that the lost colonists had indeed merged with the local tribes, their descendants carrying on a blended heritage of both Native American and European ancestry. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence came from John Lawson, an English explorer who visited the area in the early 1700s. Lawson encountered the Hatteras tribe, who claimed to have ancestors among the Roanoke settlers. According to Lawson, the tribe members had gray eyes, a trait not typically found among Native Americans, which he interpreted as a sign of European descent. The tribe also spoke of a legend passed down through generations, telling of their ancestors' union with the English settlers. This theory of integration with native tribes has remained one of the most widely accepted explanations for the disappearance of the Roanoke colony. It offers a plausible and peaceful resolution to the mystery, suggesting that rather than perishing, the settlers found a way to survive by becoming part of the indigenous communities. This narrative also aligns with what we know about human behavior in times of desperation, seeking out alliances and merging with others for the sake of survival. However, despite the compelling nature of this theory, it has never been conclusively proven. While the accounts of European features among certain Native American tribes are intriguing, they are not definitive. Moreover, no direct archaeological evidence has been found to confirm that the Roanoke settlers integrated with the Croatoan or any other tribe. The true fate of the colonists remains elusive, shrouded in the mists of history. As you ponder this theory, let your imagination wander to the shores of Hatteras Island. Picture the colonists, weary and desperate, being welcomed by the Croatoan tribe. Imagine them learning to adapt to a new way of life, their English customs blending with native traditions, creating a unique cultural fusion. Whether or not this theory is true, it offers a comforting possibility, a peaceful resolution to a story that could have ended in tragedy. Let this thought soothe your mind as you drift deeper into the mystery and deeper into sleep. As the mystery of the Roanoke Colony continued to captivate minds, another compelling theory emerged: the possibility that the settlers had relocated to the Chesapeake Bay area in search of better conditions. This theory suggests that, faced with the harsh realities of Roanoke Island, poor soil, dwindling supplies, and growing tensions with local tribes, the colonists made the difficult decision to move inland to a more promising location. The Chesapeake Bay, with its fertile land and abundant resources, would have been an attractive option for the struggling settlers. It was known to be a more hospitable environment, one that could sustain a growing colony. The idea that the Roanoke colonists might have sought refuge in this area is supported by the fact that Sir Walter Raleigh's original plan had included establishing a settlement in the Chesapeake Bay region. The Roanoke site had been chosen as a temporary stop, with the ultimate goal of moving further inland. But this move, if it occurred, did not lead to the salvation of the colony. According to this theory, the settlers' relocation to the Chesapeake Bay brought them into the territory of the powerful Powhatan Confederacy, a union of Native American tribes led by Chief Powhatan. The Powhatan were known for their strength and influence in the region, and they viewed the English settlers as a potential threat to their dominance. Historical records and oral traditions suggest that the Powhatan Confederacy may have seen the newly arrived English settlers as intruders. According to the accounts of Captain John Smith, a leader of the Jamestown colony, Chief Powhatan later claimed that he had ordered the killing of a group of English settlers who had been living with another tribe in the Chesapeake Bay area. These settlers, believed by some to be the lost Roanoke colonists, were said to have been massacred, leaving no survivors. This theory is further supported by oral traditions among certain Native American tribes, which tell of a group of white settlers who came to their land and were subsequently killed. These stories, passed down through generations, provide a haunting glimpse into what may have happened to the Roanoke colonists. The lack of physical evidence, however, has left historians divided on the validity of this theory. The idea that the Roanoke settlers met a violent end at the hands of the Powhatan Confederacy is a sobering one. It paints a picture of a colony that, after enduring so much, ultimately fell victim to the complex and often brutal dynamics of the New World. Yet this theory also speaks to the larger narrative of early colonial America, where the clash of cultures and the struggle for survival often led to tragic outcomes. As you contemplate this possibility, let your mind wander to the dense forests and winding rivers of the Chesapeake Bay. Imagine the settlers, weary from their journey, arriving in a land of promise only to find themselves caught in a dangerous conflict. The tension of this theory is palpable, yet as you consider the various fates that might have befallen the colonists, Allow the gentle flow of history to guide you into a state of calm reflection. Whether the settlers found peace among the native tribes or met a tragic end, their story is a reminder of the resilience and vulnerability of those who sought to carve out a new life in an unknown land. Let this thought carry you into the deeper currents of sleep, where the mystery of Roanoke continues to drift, unresolved and eternal. As the mystery of the Roanoke Colony persisted through the centuries, various other theories and speculations arose, each attempting to explain the fate of the lost settlers. These theories range from the plausible to the fantastical, each adding a layer of intrigue to the already mysterious disappearance of the colony. One of the more historically grounded theories is that the Roanoke Colony may have been destroyed by Spanish forces. During the late 16th century, Spain and England were bitter rivals, locked in a struggle for dominance in the New World. Spain, with its powerful navy and established colonies in the Americas, viewed England's attempts at colonization as a direct threat to its interests. The Spanish had established a presence in Florida and along the southeastern coast, and they were well aware of England's efforts to establish a foothold in North America. Some historians speculate that the Spanish, upon learning of the English colony at Roanoke, may have launched a covert operation to destroy it. This theory is supported by the fact that the Spanish had both the motive and the means to attack the fledgling English settlement. However, there is little concrete evidence to support this theory. No Spanish records have been found that confirm an attack on Roanoke, and no remains of a battle or conflict have been discovered at the site. While the Spanish certainly had the capability to destroy the colony, the lack of direct evidence has led many to consider this theory as plausible but unproven. Another theory, grounded in the harsh realities of colonial life, suggests that the Roanoke settlers may have succumbed to starvation and disease. The New World was an unforgiving environment, and the settlers at Roanoke faced numerous challenges from the moment they arrived. The soil on the island was poor, making it difficult to grow sufficient crops. The colonists' reliance on supplies from England, coupled with the delayed return of John White, would have left them vulnerable to hunger. Additionally, the settlers would have been exposed to diseases to which they had little or no immunity. The combination of malnutrition and illness could have devastated the colony, leading to a slow and painful decline. In such a scenario, it is possible that the settlers either died on the island or attempted to disperse into smaller groups, seeking help from local tribes or trying to survive on their own in the wilderness. While this theory does not account for the lack of physical remains, it offers a grim yet plausible explanation for the disappearance. The harsh conditions of the New World claimed many lives, and the Roanoke settlers were no exception to the perils that faced early colonists. As with many enduring mysteries, the story of Roanoke has also given rise to supernatural and mythical explanations. These theories, while less grounded in historical fact, reflect the cultural impact of the mystery and its ability to capture the imagination. One of the more famous legends involves the idea that the colonists were cursed or fell victim to some supernatural force. The word Croatoan, carved into the post, has taken on an almost mystical significance in these stories. Some believe that the word was a sign of a curse, a doom that befell the colony, causing it to vanish into thin air. Others suggest that the settlers were taken by spirits or otherworldly beings, leaving no trace behind. These supernatural theories often draw on the mysterious nature of the New World, a land that was largely unknown to European settlers. The dense forests, the unfamiliar wildlife, and the strange sounds of the wilderness would have contributed to a sense of unease and fear. It's easy to imagine how, in the absence of clear evidence, the mind might turn to the supernatural to explain the inexplicable. Another mythical explanation ties the disappearance to the Native American spiritual beliefs. Some stories suggest that the colonists may have offended the spirits of the land or violated sacred ground, leading to their demise. In these tales, the settlers are either consumed by the wrath of the spirits or are transformed into part of the natural landscape, disappearing without a trace. These supernatural and mythical explanations, while lacking in evidence, speak to the deep cultural resonance of the Roanoke mystery. They remind us that history is not just about facts and records, but also about the stories we tell to make sense of the unknown. As the centuries have passed, the mystery of the Roanoke Colony has continued to captivate the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike. In the search for answers, numerous archaeological efforts have been undertaken to uncover clues that might reveal the fate of the lost settlers. These investigations have spanned generations, each adding new pieces to the puzzle, yet the full picture remains tantalizingly out of reach. The earliest archaeological investigations at Roanoke Island began in the late 19th century, as interest in the lost colony grew among scholars and the public. These initial efforts were often rudimentary by modern standards, but they laid the groundwork for future explorations. Early archaeologists focused on identifying the locations of the original settlements and searching for artifacts that might shed light on the daily lives of the colonists. One of the most significant discoveries came in the 1940s when archaeologists uncovered the remains of the original fort built by Ralph Lane's men during the first Roanoke expedition. This find provided valuable insights into the construction and layout of the fortifications, as well as the tools and materials used by the settlers. However, the mystery of what happened to the later colonists under John White's leadership remained unresolved. Over the years, numerous artifacts have been discovered on Roanoke Island, including pottery shards, tools, and personal items. These findings have offered glimpses into the lives of the settlers, but none have definitively answered the question of their ultimate fate. The lack of human remains or clear signs of a mass exodus has only deepened the mystery. In recent decades, advancements in technology have provided archaeologists with new tools to explore the Roanoke mystery. Ground-penetrating radar, GPR, for example, has allowed researchers to survey large areas of land without the need for invasive digging. This technology has been instrumental in identifying potential sites of interest on Roanoke Island and surrounding areas, revealing anomalies beneath the surface that could represent buried structures or artifacts. One of the most intriguing modern discoveries was made in the early 2000s when archaeologists using GPR identified the remnants of what appeared to be a large wooden structure on the island. Dubbed Site X, this location has yielded several artifacts that suggest it may have been a temporary outpost for the Roanoke settlers. However, the evidence is still inconclusive, and further investigation is needed to determine whether this site was directly connected to the lost colony. Another promising development has been the use of DNA analysis in an attempt to trace the descendants of the Roanoke settlers. By comparing genetic material from Native American communities in the area with that of known descendants of the colonists, researchers hope to find links that could confirm the theory of integration with local tribes. While this approach has shown potential, the results have so far been inconclusive, leaving the door open for further exploration. Despite these advancements, archaeologists continue to face significant challenges in their quest to uncover the truth about the Roanoke Colony. The passage of time has eroded many potential clues, and the environment itself presents difficulties. The sandy soil of Roanoke Island is not conducive to the preservation of organic materials, meaning that any human remains or wooden structures from the original colony would have likely decayed long ago. Additionally, the scope of the search is vast. The possibility that the settlers dispersed into multiple smaller groups complicates efforts to locate definitive evidence. Archaeologists must sift through centuries of natural and human activity, making it difficult to distinguish between artifacts from the Roanoke Colony and those from later settlements. The quest to solve the mystery of the Roanoke Colony is a painstaking process, requiring patience, persistence, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. Each discovery, no matter how small, brings researchers closer to understanding what happened to the lost settlers, but the ultimate answer remains elusive. As you ponder these efforts, imagine the careful work of the archaeologists, digging through layers of history, piece by piece. The mystery of Roanoke endures, a puzzle that may never be fully solved but continues to inspire those who seek to uncover the secrets of the past. Let this thought guide you into a state of calm reflection as you drift further into the story and further into sleep. In the ongoing quest to unravel the mystery of the Roanoke Colony, one of the most intriguing modern approaches has been the use of genetic research and DNA studies. As technology has advanced, researchers have turned to the power of genetics to trace the lineage of the lost colonists, hoping to find a biological connection that could finally provide answers about what happened to them. The idea behind this approach is relatively straightforward. By analyzing the DNA of living descendants in the area surrounding Roanoke Island and comparing it to known genetic markers from English settlers of the time, scientists hope to identify links that suggest intermarriage or integration between the Roanoke colonists and local Native American tribes. If such connections could be established, it would lend strong support to the theory that the colonists were absorbed into the indigenous communities rather than perishing or disappearing without a trace. To carry out these studies, researchers have collected DNA samples from various Native American tribes in the region, including those with oral traditions suggesting contact with the Roanoke settlers. They've also gathered genetic material from individuals who claim ancestry from the early English colonists. By examining these samples, scientists search for genetic markers that could point to a shared lineage. However, the process of using DNA to solve historical mysteries is not without its challenges and controversies. One of the main difficulties is the lack of a clear genetic baseline for the Roanoke settlers. While modern genealogical research has made strides in mapping out the descendants of early English settlers, the genetic information from the Roanoke colonists themselves is largely unknown. Without direct DNA samples from the lost colonists, any comparisons made are inherently speculative. Additionally, The genetic intermingling over centuries complicates the picture. Even if genetic markers indicative of European ancestry are found among Native American populations, distinguishing between DNA from Roanoke settlers and that from other early European settlers is challenging. The region has seen numerous waves of colonization, and many European settlers intermarried with Native American tribes long after the disappearance of the Roanoke Colony. There's also a significant ethical dimension to these studies. The involvement of Native American tribes in genetic research has raised concerns about privacy, cultural sensitivity, and the potential for misinterpretation of the results. Some tribes have expressed reluctance to participate in studies that could lead to claims about their ancestry that conflict with their oral histories and cultural identity. Despite these challenges, the potential implications of successfully tracing the lineage of the Roanoke colonists through DNA are profound. If genetic evidence were found that definitively linked the lost settlers to living descendants, it would provide the first concrete answer to a mystery that has endured for more than 4 centuries. Such a discovery would not only solve one of the most famous puzzles in American history, but also offer a tangible connection between the past and the present. Moreover, it would shed light on the broader history of early interactions between European settlers and Native American tribes, providing insights into how these communities blended and influenced one another. It could also lead to a deeper understanding of the resilience and adaptability of the Roanoke colonists, who may have found a way to survive by forging new identities within the indigenous cultures of the New World. As you reflect on the possibilities offered by genetic research, imagine the threads of history woven together in the strands of DNA, connecting the present to the past. The mystery of Roanoke may one day be solved not through artifacts or written records, but through the living legacy of those who came before us. Let this thought guide you into a deeper state of contemplation and calm as the story of the lost colony continues to unfold, one step closer to resolution. The mystery of the Roanoke Colony is not just a tale from the annals of history. It has become a cultural touchstone, a story that continues to captivate and intrigue both historians and the general public. Over the centuries, the unanswered questions surrounding the fate of the lost settlers have woven themselves into the fabric of American folklore, creating a legacy that resonates far beyond the confines of historical scholarship. One of the primary reasons the mystery of Roanoke endures is its inherent uncertainty. The lack of definitive evidence, the ambiguity of the clues left behind, and the passage of time have all contributed to a narrative that is as much about what we don't know as it is about what we do. This unresolved nature invites endless speculation and interpretation, allowing each generation to project its own fears, hopes, and questions onto the story. The Roanoke mystery also touches on broader themes that are deeply embedded in American history. The challenges of colonization, the clash of cultures, and the struggles of early settlers to survive in an unknown land. These themes are universal and timeless, making the story of Roanoke relatable to a wide audience. The idea that an entire community could vanish without a trace speaks to a primal fear of the unknown, a fear that has fueled countless tales of disappearance and loss throughout history. The enduring fascination with Roanoke has inspired a wealth of literature, film, and folklore. From early colonial writings to modern novels and movies, the story of the lost colony has been retold and reimagined in countless ways. These retellings often reflect the concerns and anxieties of the times in which they were created, turning the mystery of Roanoke into a mirror of cultural change. In literature, the Roanoke Colony has been the subject of numerous books, both fiction and nonfiction. Authors have explored the mystery from every angle, proposing theories, weaving in supernatural elements, or using the story as a backdrop for broader historical narratives. The colony has become a symbol of the unknown, a blank canvas onto which writers can project their imaginations. In film and television, Roanoke has also left its mark. Documentaries have sought to unravel the mystery through historical investigation, while fictional adaptations have taken the story into the realms of horror and suspense. Perhaps one of the most well-known modern interpretations is the sixth season of the television series American Horror Story, titled Roanoke, which reimagines the colony's disappearance as the result of supernatural forces. Though purely fictional, such retellings keep the story alive in the popular imagination, ensuring that the mystery remains relevant to new audiences. Folklore, too, has played a significant role in perpetuating the story of Roanoke. The word Croatoan, carved into the post at the abandoned colony, has taken on an almost mythical status. It appears in ghost stories, legends, and even as a symbol of cursed fates in various cultural references. The mystery has become part of the collective unconscious, a story passed down through generations as a cautionary tale about the perils of the unknown. The unresolved nature of the Roanoke mystery continues to fuel debates among historians, archaeologists, and the public. Each new piece of evidence, whether it's a newly discovered artifact or a fresh theory, reignites interest in the lost colony. The discussions often go beyond academic circles, capturing the attention of amateur sleuths, writers, and history enthusiasts who are drawn to the enigma. Public fascination with Roanoke is not just about finding answers. It's about the thrill of the mystery itself. The idea that, after more than 400 years, we still don't know what happened to the settlers invites people to engage with history in a personal way. It encourages curiosity, critical thinking, and a sense of wonder about the past. As you reflect on the enduring impact of the Roanoke mystery, consider how stories like this shape our understanding of history and culture. They remind us that history is not just a record of what has happened, but also a reflection of the stories we tell and the mysteries we seek to solve. Let this thought carry you into a deeper state of contemplation, where the past and present intertwine, and the mystery of Roanoke continues to whisper through the ages. As we draw near the conclusion of our journey into the story of the Roanoke Colony, it's worth pausing to reflect on why this mystery remains unsolved despite centuries of investigation and inquiry. The lost colony of Roanoke has been the subject of relentless scrutiny, yet the answers continue to elude us. This enduring enigma offers not only a puzzle to be solved, but also profound insights into the nature of history, colonization, and cultural interaction. One of the key reasons the mystery of Roanoke endures is the absence of definitive evidence. Over the years, archaeologists, historians, and researchers have uncovered fragments of the past, artifacts, writings, and oral histories, but none have provided a clear, incontrovertible answer to the question of what happened to the settlers. The clues are tantalizing but incomplete, leading to countless theories and speculations, but no final resolution. The passage of time has also played a significant role in keeping the mystery alive. With each passing century, the likelihood of finding conclusive evidence diminishes. The environment, too, has conspired against those seeking answers. The sandy soils of Roanoke Island are not conducive to the preservation of organic material, and the changing landscape may have buried or washed away vital clues. What might have been obvious to contemporary observers has been obscured by the relentless march of time. Moreover, the Roanoke mystery is not just a matter of physical evidence. It's a story that touches on broader themes of human experience, survival, conflict, adaptation, and loss. These universal themes resonate deeply, making the story of Roanoke more than just a historical footnote. It's a narrative that challenges us to think about the complexities of colonization, the interactions between different cultures, and the fragile nature of human endeavor. The Roanoke mystery holds significant implications for our understanding of early American history. It highlights the precariousness of the early colonial ventures, where survival was far from guaranteed, and the success of a colony depended on a delicate balance of factors: environmental conditions, relations with indigenous peoples, and the ability to adapt to an unfamiliar land. The lost colony also serves as a reminder of the cultural clashes that often accompanied European colonization. The interactions between the English settlers and the Native American tribes were complex and fraught with tension. The Roanoke settlers, like many who followed, were outsiders in a land with established cultures and traditions. Their fate, whatever it was, underscores the difficulties that arise when different worlds collide. In a broader sense, the Roanoke mystery invites us to consider the narratives we construct about history. The story of the lost colony has been told and retold, each time with new interpretations and theories. It reminds us that history is not a fixed record, but a living conversation, shaped by the questions we ask and the answers we seek. The enduring mystery of Roanoke offers valuable lessons about the challenges of colonization and cultural interaction. It teaches us that survival in a new land requires more than just determination and resources. It requires understanding, adaptability, and cooperation. The settlers at Roanoke faced not only the physical challenges of building a new community, but also the cultural challenges of interacting with the indigenous peoples whose land they had entered. The story of Roanoke also serves as a cautionary tale about the limits of human control. Despite careful planning and preparation, the settlers were ultimately at the mercy of forces beyond their control, whether those were environmental, social, or something else entirely. Their disappearance reminds us that history is full of uncertainties, and that sometimes, despite our best efforts, we must accept the unknown. As you reflect on the unsolved nature of the Roanoke mystery, let these lessons guide your thoughts. The story of Roanoke is not just about what happened to the colonists. It's about what their story can teach us about the past, the present, and the future. Allow this reflection to bring you to a place of quiet contemplation, where the mysteries of history can coexist with the calm of the present moment. As we come to the end of our journey through the mystery of the Roanoke Colony, take a moment to let the story settle in your mind. The tale of Roanoke is one of history's most enduring enigmas, a story that has captivated generations with its unanswered questions and its lingering echoes across the centuries. Now, as the night deepens and the world around you grows quiet, let the unresolved nature of this mystery gently lull you into a state of peace and relaxation. Imagine yourself standing on the shores of Roanoke Island, the moonlight casting a silvery glow on the sand, the waves softly lapping at the shore. The air is cool and still, and the only sounds are the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant call of a night bird. In this quiet place, the mysteries of the past feel close, like whispers carried on the wind. As you reflect on the various theories we've explored, the possibility of integration with native tribes, the tragic potential of a massacre at Chesapeake Bay, the challenges of starvation and disease, and even the more supernatural explanations, allow your mind to drift freely. Each theory offers a different ending to the story, yet none of them provide a definitive answer. And perhaps that is where the beauty of the Roanoke mystery lies, in its ability to remain open-ended, to let our imaginations fill in the gaps where history has left none. The story of Roanoke is not just about the past. It's also about the present moment, about how we connect with the unknown and find comfort in the mysteries that remain unsolved. In a world that often demands answers and certainty, the Roanoke mystery invites us to embrace the uncertainty, to find peace in the knowledge that some stories are meant to remain open to interpretation. Let this thought guide you into a state of deep relaxation. As you lie here, allow the story of Roanoke to fade gently into the background, like the ebbing tide on a calm night. The settlers of Roanoke may have vanished, but their story continues to live on, carried through the ages by those who, like you, find wonder in the unknown. Picture the settlers, perhaps finding a new life with the Croatoan tribe, or maybe venturing into the wilderness, facing the challenges of their new world with courage and hope. Imagine them as they might have been, not as a lost colony, but as pioneers who took a bold step into the unknown, their fate intertwined with the land they sought to call home. Allow your mind to wander through these possibilities, letting each one gently ease you into a deeper state of calm. There is no need to find the answer tonight. Instead, let the mystery of Roanoke be a companion on your journey into sleep. The story is still unfolding in your thoughts, in the dreams of those who have pondered it before you, and in the imagination of those who will come after. As you close your eyes and drift off, feel the soothing presence of history's mysteries all around you, comforting and serene. The story of Roanoke remains a gentle reminder that some questions are best left unanswered, that in the space between what we know and what we can only wonder about, there is a quiet place of peace. Let this be your resting place tonight, where the whispers of the past mingle with the silence of the present, guiding you into a night of restful, uninterrupted sleep. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of history's most enduring mysteries. As you continue to rest, let the peace of the night carry you further into sleep. If you enjoyed this story, I invite you to return and explore more tales with me in the future. For now, though, may your dreams be calm and your sleep be deep. Good night.